Welcome back, Grammar Screencast fans, to the podcast on QuickSilver, the tutorial for the Latin SAT2 dealing with gerunds, ablative absolutes, infinitive clauses, indirect questions, and just for fun, the supine. Now, the gerund, of course, is kind of a complicated verb. It could be a gerund or a gerundive or gerundive of purpose. So basically, it's just the unda clause. So you have the verb amandi. When it's by itself, it becomes a gerund. The art of loving is difficult. So it's a verb acting as a noun. So girls are eager for loving. So in this case, it's a dative purpose, while amandi is a genitive, a possessive. So, and it's an active verb. Therefore, the mind is nourished, takes the ablative, by thinking, a plan of capturing the city. So the gerundive of definition, the art of loving, actually it's really just a gerund. And genitive possessive, the mode of living, the cause of speaking. So it's also found as a postposition with causa or gratia. For the sake of spending the winter, or in this case right here, capitis, desirous of waging war, often found in the dative for purpose. Drinking water is for use. When it's with ad, it could also be the gerundive of purpose as a complement clause. Ablative depends on what ablative you're dealing with. So therefore, in judging and in commanding, and out of learning, they seize pleasure. Let's talk about ablative absolute. When you have an ablative participle and an ablative noun, you have an ablative absolute. It's called an absolute because it is freed from the rest of the clause, usually at the beginning, offset by commas. It can be translated as temporal, when or as, or causal, since or because. However, a simple with, X having been, or X doing works just very well on the AP. For example, in this case here, scripta, epistula scripta profigiscor, with the letter having been written, I left. In the ablative absolute clause, the ablative will be the subject phrase. All right, complement clause infinitive. This goes back all the way to the very first semester of first year. Verb of wishing or wanting, or an incomplete verb. He was wanting to know. But it could also be an indirect statement clause signify, I guess, right? He says that the mountain is being held by the enemy. Can be with or without a subject accusative. And it's generally after verbs of desiring, beginning, hastening, purposing, preparing, accustoming, neglecting. He was wanting to know. We were not able to change. He hastens to set out, etc. Indirect question clause is formed off of a head verb, governing verb of information processing. I believe, I know, I say. A question word at the head of the clause, and a subjunctive which will signify the predicate of the indirect question clause. In this case, the subjunctive will have tense signals. I ask what you are doing, say to me what you were, etc., etc. The supine verb is complicated. It's like a participle, but it only occurs in the fourth declension, and so it's like a noun, but it only occurs in two cases: accusative, so as a goal phrase. They sent legates to ask for help. It is stupid to hunt, to lead unwilling dogs to the hunt. So the accusative, generally speaking, it could be with verbs of going, right? He thought he was going to be returned. So it's a complementary concept. Now, the ablative is oftentimes a means or manner, but it's also translated as an infinitive, right? In the miraculous, in the saying, easy in the doing. If it is legal to do in the doing, so, or in the saying. So in other words, these almost have an infinitive construct. Supine in the accusative expresses purpose after verbs of motion. They come to see. So everything like that works pretty straightforward. That takes care of all you need to know about Quicksilver. And if you have any questions, read closely the tutorial at the bottom of the QUIA page. And good luck on Quicksilver and the SAT2. Until next time, vaya con Dios.